After being mocked by a white CEO, this black leader revealed an incredible 7.8B turnaround. Marcus stood at the edge of his modest office, a sheen of sweat dotting his brow. He clutched his pitch deck, heart racing like the engines of the city's idling cars outside. Today was the day he would present his vision, a tech startup to bridge the digital divide for kids in his struggling neighborhood. He remembered his mother working late at the factory, her hands calloused yet persistent, and his father defending their freedom. Those values coursed through him like molten steel: patience, grit, family. But nothing prepared him for this moment when he stepped into the high-rise boardroom. The gleaming marble and chrome barely registered. The way the well-known CEO looked him up and down like he was a bug under a magnifying glass made everything blur. The CEO's dismissive cackle echoed, "You really think kids in the hood can grasp tech? The streets don't raise geniuses, son." The laughter from the other executives hit Marcus like daggers. His confidence wavered. Where was the heart? Where was the community that had fed his ambitions? "Mom," he whispered to himself, grounding himself in memories of family dinners filled with stories, love, and unwavering support. It was her belief that kindled his dream. As heartsick as he felt, he refused to let this setback dim his hope. He couldn't give in to the doubts. Not now. His father's steady words rang in his ears. "Persistence breaks down walls, son." He rallied his community, organizing town halls, brainstorming sessions with local schools, and connecting with small businesses. They flooded in, bursting with ideas and energy. Together they created workshops for youth, teaching coding and building apps. He could feel his neighborhood pulsing with life once more. Hands came together. Ideas became actions. But just when it all began to simmer, disaster struck. The funding fell through. Panic gripped him like a vice. How could he abandon them? He felt pressure crashing down, but he held tight to the belief that they could overcome. "Marcus!" His friend Tasha burst into his office, determination flashing in her eyes. "Tomorrow you confront that CEO. We can't let him take your dream from you." Her words lit a fire. That night he couldn't sleep. He drafted a speech that roared with grit and integrity, a humble tribute to the strength of his community. If he would face the CEO again, it would be as a voice for those who echoed his struggles. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The next day the boardroom was electric. When the CEO stepped back in, Marcus felt the tension in the air. He delivered his pitch, his voice steady and raw, laced with the hopes of his people. He revealed the staggering impact of his community efforts, the mentorship programs, the uplifted spirits. As the room filled with murmurs, the previously disdainful CEO couldn't escape the undeniable energy radiating from Marcus and his supporters. Then, just when it all started to feel real, when the tides were finally shifting, an unexpected figure from his past stepped forward. Someone who carried a secret that could shake the very foundation of his hard-earned success. Marcus's heart pounded in his chest, his dream hanging by a thread. What if this revelation could unravel everything? The shadow of doubt loomed closer, and he could only wonder, could the cost of success really be more than he ever bargained for? The murmuring in the boardroom faded into a heavy silence as a familiar face emerged from the shadows. It was Devontae, someone Marcus thought he'd left far behind. Their paths had crossed in the school hallways, where dreams were forged and shattered under the weight of expectations. But this was different. Devontae had always been the bright spark, the kid with the big ideas that never quite took flight outside their concrete walls. Yet here he was, stepping forward with a determined stride, each step echoing in Marcus's ears. "Marcus, I need to talk," Devontae said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. The mix of astonishment and dread churned within Marcus. What could Devontae possibly have to say now? In front of all these corporate suits? "Not here," Marcus replied, though deep down, he knew it wasn't a choice anymore. Devontae turned to the CEO, casting a glance that sparked a rebellious undertone in the room. "You need to hear this. It's about the project, about what's really going on." What are you talking about? The COS tone swung from amusement to irritation, a child being told the truth about Santa Claus. Marcus felt his palms sweat, his heart racing as he watched Devante. Whatever secrets he held could shift the entire narrative. He could see the nervous energy buzzing through the crowd, the executives' faces shifting from bemusement to intrigue. Could this be the break he needed? We grew up together, Marcus and I. Devante's voice rang out strong and clear. But not just in the same neighborhood. We shared memories, struggles, and dreams. And if you take a closer look at your numbers, you'll find our community isn't just a statistic. It's a gold mine of untapped potential. The room shifted. Whispers grew like wildfire. Marcus felt each heartbeat like a drum, an invitation to claim his voice back. But as Devante spoke, he saw a flicker of concern wash over the COS face, a glimpse of recognition like a veil being torn. Would this be the moment that turned the tide? But, the CEO drawled skeptically. Devante's expression turned serious. But we're held back by the very people who benefit from our struggle. The funding dried up not because of our lack but due to the lack of faith in us. And it's not just Marcus at stake here, it's our whole generation. A silence settled, heavier than before. Time itself seemed to hang in suspension. Marcus saw his friends in the crowd, Tasha nodding encouragingly, others crossing their fingers as hope danced on the edges of their hearts. What if Devante was right? What if they could turn this meeting into a movement? Then, like a swift blow, Devante continued, "You think the kids can't handle it? You think it's about the streets they came from? I know some of the sharpest minds right here in our community who can change the game. You just have to trust them." The CEO shifted in his seat, glancing at the other executives. Their faces betrayed a mix of skepticism and consideration. Marcus felt something shift in the air, a crack appearing in the facade of the boardroom dynamics. For the first time, he caught a glimpse of hope settling like embers igniting within him. He took a deep breath, searching the faces in the room. It wasn't just Devante's words. It was the collective heartbeat of a community ready to rise. Just then the CEO began to respond, words spilling forward as if he was trying to chase down a runaway train. The direction was uncertain and it could turn either way. Marcus held his breath, prepared for the verdict. Would they seize this moment or let it slip away like so many before? Before he could process the answer, unresolved emotions stirred within him. Could he really trust the unseen hands that seemed to govern their future? Or would history repeat itself, leaving them disillusioned once again? As the CEO spoke, uncertainty narrowed into a single thought: would Marcus's dream be sacrificed for the sake of safety? Or would they dare to reach higher and embrace the unknown? The CEO leaned forward, palms resting on the polished table, the tension in the air thick enough to cut. "You want us to take a leap of faith on what exactly?" His eyes challenged Devante, pouring skepticism like heavy rain. In that moment the room held its breath. Marcus could feel the weight of their shared histories pressing down on him. Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown. Devante remained unfazed. A commitment to invest in our community, not just in numbers, but in the people themselves. It's about mentoring, building infrastructure, and believing we can do better. But it starts with you. He gestured emphatically as if catching every straying eye in the room. A murmur rippled through the crowd, faces shifting from uncertainty to consideration. Marcus felt a spark. This was it. But as the CEO's eyes narrowed, he wondered if this would be the moment they pushed back. Or the one where they finally took a step forward. Investing in a community like yours? The CEO folded his arms, his expression hardened. That's a huge risk. Not to mention the potential for loss. It's not something we can afford. Devante chuckled bitterly, shaking his head. You think risk is exclusive to your boardroom? You have no idea what we risk every day living in neighborhoods that are cast aside. We're out here trying to make something out of nothing. And we're willing to work harder than anyone for it. But we need opportunities. We need you to show us you believe in us. Silence returned and Marcus felt a flicker of fierce determination rising within him, connecting with Devante's conviction. The crowd was alive somehow, as if they were all collectively leaning in, eager for the next move, yearning for change. Marcus stole a glance at Tasha, and he could see fire in her eyes. She believed in this moment, he could sense it. If they didn't seize this opportunity, what would it mean for the generations trying to climb out from beneath the weight of complacency? The probability of failure didn't scare him as much as the thought of retreating into silence once more. Maybe it's time you put some skin in the game, Marcus called out, his voice rising unexpectedly. Find those sharp minds Devante mentioned. Let them pitch their ideas. Hire them for projects. Create a mentorship program. Let us prove to you that change is possible. Work alongside us. The COS gaze flickered between the two, measuring their resolve, and for the first time, something akin to respect glimmered. And if we fail, then it's on us, said Devante, his voice unwavering, but at least we know we had a shot. It was a gamble, a wild roll of the dice, but Marcus felt like they were growing roots in that boardroom, pushing against the old expectations, demanding to be seen. All right, the CEO finally replied, his tired eyes revealing a hint of contemplation. I'll consider it. But don't think this is an open-ended proposal. The electrifying tension shifted to something lighter hope, but it was tinged with an ever-present anxiety, swirling with what lay ahead. A wave of applause erupted as the others began to process the implications of the exchange. Marcus couldn't help but smile. They had carved a small opening. Yet the reality set in. This victory felt fragile. What would come next? As the crowd buzzed with newfound energy, Marcus caught Devante's eye, an understanding passing between them. They had landed a blow, but now they needed to arm themselves for what was next. Would they truly follow through? Or had they stepped into another cycle of empty promises? The question lingered like the taste of ash in his mouth, as he turned to face the uncertain future ahead. The applause faded, replaced by a hum of quiet conversations. Marcus felt the weight of the moment pressing in on him. Conclusions were swirling in the air, some hopeful, others skeptical. He stepped back from the table, letting the buzz wash over him. The tension had suffocated the room moments before, but now there was openness. Wow, Tasha whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Did we really just do that? Yeah, Marcus replied just as dumbfounded. But now we have to get it right. He scanned the room, locking eyes with several faces. Some were filled with excitement, but others were still questioning. It was a delicate balance, and he knew that they could easily tip back into doubt. Devante turned to Marcus, a fierce intensity lighting up his expression. This is our moment, a crack in the door, but we need to push it wide open. We have to gather our best and brightest. Ideas matter. Action is everything. Right, Marcus said, feeling a surge of adrenaline. We need to organize community meetings, get everyone on board. Let us turn that spark into a wildfire. He felt the fire in his gut, the kind that ignited when a fierce need for change confronted a complacent status quo. But reality loomed overhead like a dark cloud. What if they didn't back it up? What if this was just a fleeting moment, lost to time and doubt as it had so many times before? Ideas began to flow, and the crowd buzzed with possibilities. Young entrepreneurs, seasoned professionals, students eager to learn all had a role to play. Marcus envisioned mentorship programs that could ignite the next generation. He imagined workshops, competitions, actual stakes where their community could shine. There was potential bubbling all around. Suddenly a voice broke through. What about funding? It was Gary, a well-respected mentor within the community. How do we show the CEO we're worth the risk? Right, Devante replied, quickly pivoting. We need a cohesive plan. Proposals that shine a light on our community's strengths. We need to show them that investing in us isn't charity, it's an opportunity. The energy in the room surged, ideas racing like wildfire. Marcus scribbled down notes, his heart hammering as he realized they were transforming passion into strategy. Outside, the sun was starting to set, casting a golden glow through the windows, illuminating the faces of those ready to fight for a better future. Let us regroup tomorrow. Everyone, Marcus said, galvanizing the group. We need to talk ideas, roles, who can lead in what area. This is our chance. The people began nodding, excitement creeping into their eyes as the vision of possibility danced before them. As the meeting dispersed, Marcus felt a knot of anxiety form in his stomach. He had faith that they could bring something meaningful to the table. But what would happen if they stumbled? What if they failed to live up to the expectations they just set? Outside, the air was cool, a soft reminder of the coming night and the work still ahead. Tasha walked beside him, her voice confident. I believe in this. In us. It's time we reshape our future. Marcus couldn't help but smile, but even with hope blooming like a flower, shadows of doubt lingered. As they parted ways, the sun dipped beyond the horizon, casting long shadows. Would their hard work be enough to spark genuine change? Or would it all remain just a hopeful dream? The night lay ahead, filled with uncertainty and the promise of what could be. Marcus inhaled deeply as he stepped towards the unknown, feeling the pulse of potential in the air. Tomorrow would be a big day, but would they be ready? The next morning buzzed with a nervous energy that felt charged, like the moments before a storm. Marcus woke up with a pit in his stomach, but also an undeniable drive. He slipped on his favorite shirt, a simple blue that always made him feel confident, and looked in the mirror. Today was the start of something big. As he stepped outside, the crisp air hit him like a splash of cold water, clearing his mind. He could hear the chatter of people starting their day, children scurrying off to school, and the distant sound of construction, a reminder that life was moving, and so should he. Tasha was already at the community center when he arrived, her hands brimming with papers and her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Marcus," she called, waving him over. "Look at this." She spread out her notes on a nearby table, filled with sketches and bullet points. "I drafted a proposal outline. We should emphasize our strengths, community involvement, talent, and our stories, the things that truly matter." Marcus leaned in, mesmerized by her passion. "This is amazing, Tasha. It really showcases what we can do. But what if they still doubt us? We show them we can deliver," she replied with determination, her gaze steady on him. "We have to be relentless in our pursuit of this opportunity." As the minutes ticked by, members of the community trickled in, bringing their ideas, hopes, and fears. Gary was among the first. He looked concerned, rubbing his forehead. "Do you really think they'll take us seriously? I mean, they've come to us before, and nothing ever changed." Marcus felt a wave of frustration wash over him. "That's why we're here, Gary. It's about showing them we're ready to take action. We can't keep waiting for change to find us, we have to dig it out ourselves." The group slowly warmed to this idea. They began to brainstorm, each suggestion building upon the last, adding layers of complexity but also strength. Devante stood up, a spark of motivation igniting as he said, "We shouldn't just ask for funding. Let us propose a partnership, a shared journey. We'll succeed or fail together." "Yes," someone shouted from the back, and the room erupted in cheers and applause. This was no longer just a meeting. It was a movement. As they crafted their proposal, they shared stories, real, raw experiences. Each tale wrestled with pain, but it was woven with resilience. The more they spoke, the more they believed in themselves. Marcus could feel his heart swell as he witnessed these connections, the realization that they were not alone in their struggles. But as the day wore on, Marcus noticed a growing tension in the air. What if their presentation fell flat? What if the CEO disregarded them completely? Anxiety crept in, but he pushed it aside. "We're not just here to ask for help. We're here to demand recognition." With the newfound energy pulsing through the room, they worked late into the night, finalizing their pitch. Laughter mixed with moments of silence washed over them as the weight of what they were doing sunk in. They spoke about possibilities, dreams, and how it could be if they pushed through. As they wrapped up, Devante clapped Marcus on the back. "Tomorrow's going to change everything. I see it." Marcus managed a half smile, uncertainty still interlacing his optimism. What awaited them in the boardroom remained shrouded in doubt. Were they truly ready to present themselves as equals? Sitting in his car that night, he stared at the city lights flickering like fireflies. His mind raced with thoughts of what the next day would bring. He turned the keys in the ignition, feeling that familiar surge of hope. "We can do this," he whispered to himself. But as he drove off, a deeper question lingered. Would their courage withstand the test? Would they find their voice amidst the shadows looming over their aspirations? Tomorrow would reveal all. The sun rose slowly the next morning, drenched in hues of orange and pink, illuminating the ashen clouds that floated by. Marcus could feel the weight of each ray, lifting the curtain on the day ahead. Today everything felt different. He slipped on the same blue shirt, the fabric soft against his skin, a reminder of the hope it held. As he approached the community center, his pulse quickened. This was it, the moment they had all worked so hard for. Energy crackled in the air, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Tasha was already there, pacing by the door, her eyes darting towards each newcomer, waiting for signs of confidence. "Marcus, are we ready?" she asked, her voice barely masking the tremble of her nerves. "We're as ready as we can be," he said, forcing a smile. They entered the room where the presentation was to take place. The atmosphere was thick, as people from the community settled into their seats, each face a mirror reflecting fears and hopes. He glanced around, locking eyes with Gary, who gave a slight nod, a silent reminder that they were in this together. Suddenly, the door swung open, and in walked Mr. Thompson, the CEO, flanked by his associates. The atmosphere shifted instantly, tension filling the room as if the very air had thickened. Marcus felt his heart race, the weight of their dreams pressing down on him. "Thank you for being here today," Mr. Thompson began, his tone formal, eyes scanning the room, barely pausing on the gathered community. "I'm eager to hear what you have to present." Marcus stepped forward. He could feel all their eyes on him, fear and expectation swirling around. This was the moment their stories would be unleashed. He cleared his throat. "Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Thompson. We're here not just to ask for funds but to forge partnerships. We are a community rich with stories and resilience, and we believe we can help bring forth positive change if you stand beside us." He felt a surge of energy as he spoke, each word more confident than the last. Tasha stood up next, her passion infectious. She showcased their proposal, a carefully crafted slide deck filled with diagrams, statistics, and heartfelt stories from community members, the faces of those who deserve to be seen. But as they progressed, Marcus could see the CEO's brows knit together, an expression of skepticism beginning to mar his features. It struck Marcus like a cold gust of wind. Doubt started creeping in. "Partnerships are great," Mr. Thompson remarked, interrupting. "But without proven results, I'm afraid I won't be able to support you. Change requires commitment and outcomes, something you have yet to demonstrate." An unspoken tension hung in the air as murmurs echoed among the community members. Marcus felt his stomach twist. He had expected challenges, but this felt like a mockery of their efforts, a dismissal of their shared history. Devante stood up, determination blazing in his eyes. "We might not have all the answers right now, but we are the solution. Our experiences can guide the way." His voice was firm. "We are committed to turning this around together." The room erupted in agreement, a fire kindling in their collective spirit. Marcus felt the shift. This was their fight. The prospect of being unheard fueled his determination. "We are not asking for charity. We're demanding recognition. Partner with us and watch us prove how incredible this community really is." We won tea back down. Silence loomed momentarily, then, just as he had hoped, the crowd rose in a loud cheer, their voices echoing within the walls. It felt like magic, like everyone, including Mr. Thompson, was swept away in their energy, their passion. For a heartbeat, he allowed himself to believe this could change everything. But would that spark be enough to convince a skeptical CEO? As he caught Mr. Thompson's eyes again, Marcus wondered if they would ultimately find their place at the table or remain outside looking in. Today meant everything. But what lay ahead could just as easily unravel all they had built. Would they take the first step toward genuine transformation? Or would this moment slip through their fingers? The room buzzed with a mix of energy and doubt after that powerful moment. Marcus could feel the pulse of their community's hope vibrating through the air. But as Mr. Thompson stared back at him, the glint of hesitation in his eyes was unmistakable. Would they truly be able to break through the wall of skepticism surrounding his stance? A heavy silence wrapped around them as the crowd awaited the CEO's next move. Marcus could hear the dampening of their cheers slowly, the excitement on the verge of fading into uncertainty. Mr. Thompson took a step forward, his expression softening just a bit. "I appreciate your passion," he began, "but passion alone won't seal the deal." "We know that," Marcus replied, his voice unwavering. "But passion is where it starts. Fuels action, and action breeds results." "Talk is cheap," Mr. Thompson countered, the challenge evident in his tone. "What have you accomplished that will make me believe your community can deliver on such bold claims? You need measurable results." Devante's eyes narrowed. "We're not defined by our past failures. We're shaped by our resilience. Just give us a chance. Let us prove it to you." The CEO shifted, wariness beginning to bleed into contemplation. "What are your plans beyond today? If this is to be a partnership, you need assurances." from both sides. Tasha stepped up again, her voice steady. We've planned workshops, mentorship programs, and partnerships with local businesses that will uplift our community. We want to involve everyone and ensure we drive real change together. We are committed to this, not just to you but to ourselves. The murmurs among the community began to swell again. They leaned forward, eyes shining with renewed hope. Marcus felt that electricity surge once more. A reminder of why they had gathered here. They were more than a collection of individuals. They were a united force with shared dreams and relentless spirit. Perhaps, Mr. Thompson contemplated, you can start by proving your potential through small short-term projects. Something we can evaluate together. Marcus's heart raced. Yes, give us that opportunity. Allow us to grow from the ground up, to invest in our community and watch it flourish. All right, Mr. Thompson said slowly. I'll meet you halfway. I'll allocate funds for a pilot project, say 100,000. If you can show results within the next 6 months, we can discuss more significant support. Gasps of surprise filled the room. Marcus felt a wave of exhilaration hit him. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We won't disappoint you. The crowd erupted once more, enthusiasm spreading like wildfire. They believed they had a chance. Tasha caught Marcus's eye, her face radiating hope. In that moment, Marcus felt the world shift beneath them. They had taken a first step. Yet, beneath that exhilaration, doubt lingered. Was that enough? Could they deliver under pressure? The questions haunted him, echoing in the chambers of his mind. As the applause faded, Marcus looked around at the faces glowing with belief, the neighbors, the friends, the community members who trusted him to lead them toward change. Each one was counting on him, and he could not bear to let them down. But how could he ensure they succeeded? The weight of this responsibility hung heavily around his neck. There was so much to do, but the fire of ambition had been ignited, and the path forward was clearer than ever. Yet uncertainties still remained. Would they be able to bring about the transformation they desperately envisioned? Would the community's spirit rise to the challenge? Or would it slip through their fingers like all the previous opportunities? As they filed out of the room with renewed purpose, Marcus felt the watchful gaze of Mr. Thompson linger on him. Would the CEO truly support them? Or was this just empty promise? As the door closed behind them, the journey had just begun. And it was fraught with unknowns, each one a potential obstacle or a chance at something transformative. And in that pivotal moment, as their footsteps echoed into the future, Marcus knew this confrontation was merely the opening act. What awaited them down the line would test their strength in ways they never imagined. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the community center's parking lot. Marcus stood just outside, the faces of his neighbors glowing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. They were buzzing with ideas, but Marcus could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. All right, everyone, he called, drawing them together in a small circle. Now that we have the funding, we need to hit the ground running. We can't afford to waste any time. This is our chance. Cheers erupted, but Marcus noticed some hesitations. A few of his friends exchanged worried looks, their expressions clouded by the pressure. He knew the stakes were high. They had 6 months to show results, and to do that, they had to work together like never before. Devontae stepped forward, his brow furrowed. I'm with you, bro, but what if we fail? What if we don't deliver? And Mr. Thompson pulls the funding? That's a huge risk. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the energy in the group shift. I hear you, Devontae. It's a risk. But think about everything we've been through together. The hardships, the setbacks. We've built this community on resilience. This is just another challenge. We need to take it head on. Tasha chimed in, her voice steady. What's our first step? We need to get organized and create a timeline. Let us break this down into manageable parts. If we can focus on smaller goals, that could help boost our confidence. A plan began to form, spirits lifted among the group. They mapped out initial workshops for skills training, outreach efforts to local businesses, and initiatives to engage youth. With every suggestion, the energy in the circle grew. Ideas swirled like colorful balloons, each bringing newfound hope. Let us set a date for our first workshop, Marcus said, feeling the momentum. And we should reach out to businesses for sponsorships. The more engaged we can get our community, the better. As they worked, Marcus felt a fire igniting inside him, the kind of fire that had kept him going all those years. He thought of all the faces that depended on this project. This wasn't just an opportunity. It was a lifeline. Hours later, everyone had left, buzzing with excitement. Only Marcus remained, sitting on the steps of the community center, deep in thought. He looked at his phone, the screen glowing with a message from Tasha. "We got this," it read, accompanied by a thumbs-up emoji. But even with that encouragement, doubt crept back in. Would they hit their deadlines? Would they encounter obstacles they weren't prepared for? Marcus ran his fingers through his hair, feeling overwhelmed. He thought of Mr. Thompson's gaze, the way the CEO had scrutinized them. Did he truly believe in them, or was he still skeptical? What if this pilot project turned into another false hope? Swallowing hard, he tried to shake the thoughts away. No more dwelling on failure, he whispered to himself. Instead, he defocused on taking one step at a time. Suddenly, a shout broke the silence. A neighborhood kid, Jace, was darting around the corner of the building, eyes wide with excitement. "Mr. Marcus! Mr. Marcus!" he yelled, running full speed toward him. "Hey Jace! What's going on? That new playground? You said we'd get it fixed." The kid's voice bubbled over with hope. Marcus felt a smile tug at his lips. "Yes, we have plans for that. You're going to help, right?" Jace beamed, nodding vigorously. "I'm gonna tell everyone. We can make it awesome." In that fleeting moment, Marcus realized the ripple effect of their small victory. It wasn't just about money or projects. It was about community spirit, shared dreams, and the promise of a bright future. But lurking in his heart was the fear of failure. What if they couldn't deliver? It was an enormous burden, one he couldn't shake. As night fell, Marcus looked up at the stars, wondering if they could guide him through the uncertainty ahead. Would they succeed in transforming their community? Or would they fall short under the weight of expectations? The path was uncertain, but they had taken their first steps. And he swore he would do everything he could to make sure they wouldn't stumble. But would that be enough? What challenges lay ahead, waiting just around the corner? The next day brought a crisp morning, the kind that hinted at new beginnings. Marcus woke up early, the sunlight filtering through his window like a promise. He grabbed his phone and checked for messages. Tasha had already sent a reminder about their first workshop meeting later that day. He felt a rush of excitement. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. Tea breakfast. He found his mom poring over the local newspaper. "Did you see this?" she said, holding up an article with a photo of Mr. Thompson. "They're saying he's planning to invest more in the community. Could it be true?" Marcus stopped, a forkful of cereal paused midair. Was this speculation? Or was it a chance to leverage their project? "I don't know, but if it is, this could change everything," he replied, considering the implications. If Mr. Thompson saw the potential in their work, it could help them gain the momentum they desperately needed. After breakfast, he grabbed his notes and headed to the community center, determination fueling his steps. The sun glared down, and as he approached the building, he could already see a few others milling about. Tasha was setting up chairs, her hands moving quickly. "Hey, you're early." She smiled, energetic and ready. "Just getting my head in the game," Marcus said, returning her enthusiasm. "Did you touch base with the businesses? Any bites?" Tasha nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Yeah, a couple expressed interest. The flower shop down the street loves what we're doing. They're willing to sponsor part of the workshop." "Awesome. That's how we start building momentum." He felt a swell of pride as the others began to arrive. Devonte came in, a little slower, looking contemplative. "Everything all right?" Marcus asked, noticing the furrow in his friend's brow. "Just thinking about how we send our message out there. If Mr. Thompson is putting money into places like these, what does that say about what we're doing?" "It says we need to make our mark," Marcus affirmed, absolutely certain. "We can't wait for someone to acknowledge us. We need to show them why this community matters." As the group settled into their first workshop, a wave of collective energy coursed through the room. They shared ideas, hopes, and fears. They spoke of the importance of their mission, how they would not only build a playground but a space for creativity, growth, and healing. Marcus stood in front, looking at faces lit with passion. He couldn't help but feel their combined energy dissolve his doubts. We're not just filling a void, he told them. We're flipping the script. But just as he raised their spirits, his phone buzzed. A text showed up from an unknown number. His heart raced as he read the message. Don't get complacent. Mr. Thompson 1T take kindly to those who waste his money. The word struck him like a punch. He glanced at Tasha, who caught his eye. Her cheer faded, and a shadow of doubt swirled between them like a storm cloud. Hey, this is our moment, he told the team, forcing confidence into his voice. Let us not dwell on distractions. We have each other and the community on our side. We fight for them. They nodded, but Marcus could still see uncertainty lingering in their eyes. The doubts were there. He could feel them like a heavy weight. As the workshop progressed, he pushed himself to stay positive, though every smile he wore felt like a fragile mask. By the end of the day, they had crafted their project timetable and assigned roles, but the tension remained. As everyone left, Tasha stayed back, crossing her arms tightly. Marcus, we need to talk about that text and what it might mean. Are we really prepared for what's coming? Marcus swallowed hard, knowing no easy answer was available. The shadows were growing longer in the fading light, reflecting the creeping doubts in his heart. He couldn't let fear dictate their path. They needed victory no matter the odds. He took a deep breath, steeling himself. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. We can't back down now. But even as he said the words, a dread shimmered at the edge of his thoughts. What if this was a forewarning? What if they were setting themselves up for even bigger challenges? The next chapter was just beginning, and their resolve would soon be tested in ways they never anticipated. Marcus stepped outside, the cool evening air washing over him like a refreshing wave. The sky was painted in brilliant hues of sunset, signaling the end of one chapter and the poignant beginning of another. He felt the weight of his community's expectations settled heavily on his shoulders, but there was also a flicker of hope burning within him. This was their dream, and he was determined to see it through. The following morning dawned bright and clear. As he paced through the community center, the room pulsed with energy. Tasha, Devante, and a handful of eager volunteers were gathered around a table scattered with brainstorming notes. Marcus joined the group, a tremor of excitement tingling through him. Today is the day we launch our first workshop, Tasha exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. I can feel it in my bones. We can change lives. Marcus nodded, feeling the anxiety writhing in his stomach. They could finally put their plan into motion. This was the moment they had been building towards, the chance to show their community's true potential. But in the back of his mind, that nagging text lingered like an unwanted companion. As the workshop began, kids poured in, their laughter filling the hall with joy. Marcus looked around, seeing the faces of children eager to learn and families that needed hope. This was bigger than him. He felt it in his chest with every heartfelt smile returned. All right, everyone, Marcus shouted, trying to contain his bubbling excitement. Welcome to our first coding workshop. Hear us what we're going to do today. He watched as their small group transformed into a whirlwind of creativity and shared ambition. Children huddled together, fingers flying over keyboards, their faces alight with discovery. The workshop buzzed with energy, churning out ideas, inspiration, and a sense of community Marcus had dreamed about for years. Hours passed like minutes, and the transformation was palpable. When the workshop concluded, a wave of applause erupted from the parents who had gathered. Their smiles beamed with the hope of something brighter, a future that was not tethered to past limitations. Afterward, Marcus gathered everyone together, breath still racing. Look what we just did. This isn't just our first workshop. It's a demonstration of what we can achieve together. With newfound confidence, Devante spoke up. But this is just the beginning. We need to reach out for more support, and we need to show Mr. Thompson that we can follow through. Fueled by passion and promise, the group brainstormed strategies for the next steps, crafting messages to local businesses for potential sponsorships. The excitement in the room crackled vividly as they solidified critical plans. But was it enough? Would they crumble under pressure? The jagged uncertainty twisted in his mind, but Marcus silenced the voice of doubt. They had to persevere. This moment was a seed, and they held the watering can. Weeks later, their hard work paid off as they scheduled a follow-up meeting with Mr. Thompson. They had cultivated achievements they needed to present. The community had rallied behind them, ready to showcase their progress. As he sat in the boardroom once more, the same polished table and the same CEO staring intensely at him, Marcus felt a comforting warmth wash over him. This time he was no longer the nervous entrepreneur. He was a symbol of resilience, of a community bridging gaps, ready to seize opportunities. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Thompson," Marcus began, his voice steady. "We stand before you today, not just as individuals, but as a united community committed to proving what we can achieve together." As he laid out their accomplishments with clarity and strength, he could see the interest spark in the CEO's eyes. He described the workshops, the skills gained, and the children they had empowered. With each word he felt part of them, part of something greater resonating deeply. Marcus wrapped up, "These kids represent a future that deserves investment. Not out of charity, but out of belief that change is not only possible, but happening right now." The words hung in the air, a weight of hope and ferocity that dared Mr. Thompson to see what was right in front of him. "We've shown results and we will continue to do so. Will you join us in this leap of faith?" After an extensive pause, the CEO leaned forward, a glimmer of consideration dancing behind his eyes. "You've impressed me both with the results and the passion you've built into this initiative. I'm willing to escalate our support." Cheers erupted around the table, a wave of elation flooding their spirits. They had done it. They had taken their first tangible step toward manifesting their dreams into reality. The room vibrated with hope. Their determination had opened doors. As Marcus stepped outside with Tasha and Devante, sunlight caught their faces, illuminating them like a halo of possibilities. Tasha clutched Marcus's arm, her eyes glistening. "We did it. We've shown them who we are." With laughter soaring amongst them, Marcus absorbed the moment. The culmination of hard battles won, deep-rooted fears faced, and the assurance of genuine change. He'd proven it wasn't just about the money. It was about belief, fierce conviction, and love for a community willing to rise together. It was a new dawn, one that shimmered with all the hopes and dreams they had yet to cultivate. As they gazed at the horizon, Marcus whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." A gentle breeze swept through the air, lifting their spirits higher. The road ahead was still unwritten, but whatever challenges waited, they would face them together, united by the unwavering heart of their community. Now the world was theirs to shape, and they were ready to make their mark. Before the credits roll, listen closely. Your support is essential. If you want to follow this journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you never miss out on the next exclusive stories that inspire hope and transformation. Leave a like now to fuel our journey, feeding the algorithm that helps bring these stories to others in need. Comment below how this uplifting journey made you feel, or share your thoughts on community and resilience. And don't wait not even one more second to share this powerful story with at least 5 friends who need to see how belief and unity can change lives. Only true fans understand the importance of standing together. Let us keep this momentum going.